Oh, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't with this fucking wind. You really are. Don't know what to do. Should I just do that? Should I just do that? Look at that. It's great, isn't it? Okay, well, here we are. We don't have the budget. We're just making this up as we go along. Right, so number 10 is BVLGARI Man Wood Neroli. Now, you know, you could very easily argue that this could be a lot higher on this list, but I really pride myself with the summer list, because actually summer is still my favourite time of the year when it comes to fragrance. With a lot of collectors and a lot of reviewers, you'll see that actually their favourite time is autumn and winter, because that's when the ouds come out, that's when the myrrhs come out, that's when the really darker stuff comes out. But I actually still have a soft spot for the citruses, for the soaps, for the florals, and this is just a great example of like old school Italian perfumery. And this will be very reminiscent of things like Neroli Portofino by Tom Ford. There's this one fragrance that is the numbers, but I'm dyslexic. I'm dyslexic. So literally, like anything that's just called numbers, I'm just like, is it 4711? Is it 1477? What is it? But it's that one right there. So yeah, but it's very similar to that. But it's also a lot more longer lasting, and it also has this kind of, I don't know if it is ambroxan or one of the sweeter sort of aroma chemicals, but it keeps it very relevant, it gives it this modern sweetness that is very pleasant, very likable, and makes it so that it doesn't just smell like an older fragrance. It definitely smells like a fragrance, you know, from the 21st century. Number 9 is from the house of MASQUE Milano. It's called TERRALBA. A lot of you have said to me, you know, George, there's a lot of designer fragrances on this channel. There isn't enough Indian niche, and that's fair enough. But I'll tell you one indie niche house that you should definitely check out, and that is MASQUE Milano. They are really, really killing it, and they've got some beautiful, old-fashioned, very complicated, very complex fragrances. They're really experimenting with a lot of different balances and a lot of different ideas, like with Tango and this one. And this one has got a lot of greenery. It's got like a sort of an olive and pear kind of combination, but it's also got like a lot of pepper and a lot of sweetness, like really hardcore like black pepper in here that goes along with those other elements, which is very surprising. However, it doesn't actually last as long as I'd want it to on my skin. It's an incredibly gorgeous smell, really gorgeous smell. I like it, really enjoy wearing it, but I just wish that as though I'd get a little bit more out of it. But if you're looking for something that's kind of old-fashioned and is experimental and is unique in that way, then in general I'd recommend checking out MASQUE Milano. They're really doing some crazy shit. But when it comes to summer fragrances, this is something that I've really enjoyed wearing, and yeah, it's brilliant. Go check it out. Number 8, AQUA-UNIVERSALIS FORTE. I was listening to the Scent Geeks recently, my good friend Chris from Fragmental and Steve from Frags to Riches, and they were talking about like long-lasting summer fragrances and how it's like, oh, do they exist? Are they, is it possible? And I'm screaming down the speakers. I'm like, what about Universalis Forte? What about Universalis Forte, guys? It's brilliant. You put this on, it feels like oil. The oil concentration is incredibly high. I think it's around about 14%, which is, I don't know, illegal in some countries or some bollocks. But it's very, very high and very, very good. It's a very innocent white floral with some really nice, well-rounded citruses. But with that oil content, it's a very, very big scent cloud, very solid projection, lovely longevity, and it's just crafted to perfection. Francis Kurjan does know what he's doing most of the time when he's not perfumering, being the in-house perfumier for Burberry. What are you doing, mate? But in general, he can create really beautiful scents. So this is a very, very innocent, citrusy, flowery, just magnificent scent, and I've been recommending this for years, and if you haven't checked it out, why not? Number 7, from the house of Norton and Wilson. This is, of course, Gravitas from Mr. Smelly. Now, you know, I've been following the Mr. Smelly channel for a very long period of time, and every single time he does a video and it's got one of these interesting looking bottles, you know, from the 70s or the 80s, I'm like, God, I should check that out, I should check that out, I should check that out, and then I don't. And I'm sorry, Dan, I'm sorry. But it feels like what Dan has done is he's gone, all right, fine, I'm recommending all these fragrances to you, you're not buying them, so here is all the fragrances I've ever recommended to you summed up in one bottle. That's kind of what Gravitas feels like. It does feel as though there's, it's like an amalgamation, and a collection of like greatest hits from the 1980s and early 1990s. I get a bit of CK Obsession in here, I get a little bit of Reeve Ghosh in here, I get a little bit of Monica in My Mind, I get a little bit of Lita in My Life, or whatever, or however Mambo number 5 actually goes. I don't know, I haven't heard it in a long time. When was that song out? Anyway, it's got, don't play it, we'll get copyright striked, Rick, don't play it.
I'm looking at the lyrics.
Right, okay, so, alright. But it's all of those different things from the late 80s, early 90s, rolled up into one fine citrus aromatic fougere, and it's phenomenal. And I love it, have been loving wearing it, and even in higher heat days, I can really still enjoy it. Number 6 is in a similar vein, somewhat, but it is this, it's Prada Luna Rossa, as in it is a fragrance that has a lot of citrus elements, but it does have that soapy fougere style. I think that the best review of this that's ever been made, ever, anywhere, is on Ashton's 50 Fragrances video, in which he described this fragrance in 3 words: Sauvage, but Prada, and truer words have never been said. It is as if Daniela Andrea basically took Sauvage and said, okay, let's strip that down and rebuild it into something a lot more, it's a lot more coherent. But that's just how amazing Daniela is, the in-house perfumier of Prada. I've loved wearing this, and I've got to say that in the really high heat, this has been shining, and all of those wonderful soapy, it's like fresh soap with lots of different like metallic elements. It's brilliant, and just a fabulous, fabulous fragrance, and I'm so glad that I've got a full bottle of this. Number 5 is from the House of Chanel, Allure Homme Sport. Well, it's from the House of Chanel, it's not from the House of Chanel, Allure Homme Sport, it's from the House of Chanel, and the title is Allure Homme Sport. I'm sorry, listen, there's a fucking pandemic going on, is anybody here? Is anybody there? Help! Rick, don't run away. Yeah, Chanel, Allure Homme Sport, beautiful vanilla with some orange and citrus and aldehydes. But it's great, and when me and Rick go back to our friends, did we have friends before this? I don't know.
I was living in blissful ignorance until you said that. Good.
I'm sorry. But yeah, when we go back to normal life and socialising and things like that, of course I'll be wearing Allure Homme Sport, because it's just so bloody good and so lovely to wear. There are some fragrances where it's lovely to do the reviewing and all that, but at the same time, mate, this smells fit as fuck, and people love it, and people enjoy smelling this on me when I wear it. Gets tons of compliments, gets tons of positive reactions, tons of positive attention. For some of you, that will just be enough. It's just brilliant. 4 is from the house of, the full name is AQUA 1954 Firenze I Mirage 23. Brilliant. Can't wait to write that up.
Takes 10 weeks. Takes 10 weeks to just name the fragrance.
Yeah, yes. So, as I've said many times, this is Aventus in an alternative reality where Acqua di Parma decided to make Aventus rather than Creed. It's got a ton of different citruses, all from sweet citruses to sort of medium citruses to bitter citruses. There's just freaking orange trees just being thrown at you. And there's a lot of bitter neroli. It's very lovely, very sophisticated, but it also has that oak mossy, smoky element that Aventus is known for. But Aventus will balance that out with things like fruit and pineapple and black currant and blueberry and all that nonsense. And what this fragrance does is it balances it out with just a tremendous amount of different citruses with lots of different textures and lots of different scent profiles. It's fantastic. Really, really great. I love wearing this. Very Italian, very classy, and reminiscent of something that Acqua di Parma would put out. Speaking of which, number 3, Acqua di Parma, Colonia Pura. I want to give a shout out to my good friend Jez of Fragrance and Jeffrey from SoCal Scents. They reintroduced me to this absolutely magnificent scent when I was in California. It smells like, I'm just going to tell you this, right? It's got like a little bit of licorice. It's just fucking amazing, actually. It's amazing. It is so freaking amazing. Right, it's licorice, like a little bit of licorice, with freshly cut green grass and some nice bitter neroli. It's just phenomenal. Have a smell of this. What do you think of that? That is just like something else, isn't it? It's my favourite Acqua di Parma Colonia. It's good.
Oh, I do like that.
It is good. Yeah, I thought you might. It's good. So, number 2. Everybody knows what number 1's going to be, unless you're a brand new subscriber, in which, hello, I'm probably a huge disappointment, sorry. But anyway, number 2 is they thought that there was going to be a nice normal fragrance YouTube video, but it's some mad...
Shit, I thought I clicked on a Jezza video.
Yeah, but I thought this guy was Jeremy Fragrance, but shit in hell, what a fucking disappointment this turned out to be. I
skipped an advert for this.
I skipped an advert for this. Anyway, thank you for sticking along. Right, okay. So, but for those of you who have been around for a little while, you know what number 1 is. Obviously, it's very obvious what it's going to be. But the number 2 might be obvious, might not be obvious to some people. It's Dior Cologne. This was my number 1 fragrance in 10 fragrances to wear when it's hot as hell. 8 fragrances, should I say, to wear when it's hot as hell. This is an incredible fragrance for when it's high heat. When that's going to happen, I don't know anymore. But yeah, it's a very straightforward fragrance. And it's like the cleanest, most luxurious, like poshest bar of soap that you've ever smelt in your life, like in the finest hotel that you've ever come across, like 7-star hotel in Dubai. The most beautiful bar of soap with some nice, sweet, tangy citruses on top. Very simple, very, very straightforward fragrance. Now, some people get upset when I say I think that there's a little bit of iris in here because iris is not listed. So, okay, fine, I'll throw you an olive branch. What I feel is that it's got a white, clean floral in here that is reminiscent of iris. Might not be iris, it's certainly not listed on notes, but then again, what is? There's only 3 notes on this fragrance, and I don't think that's true. But yeah, I get a white floral, bit of potentially iris, with very, very, very clean soap, with lots of nice, tangy citruses. Very simple, very straightforward, but it just works and is just stunning and gets you compliments to no end. And now to the main event, number 1. You know what it's going to be. Obviously, it's never not going to be this. It is, of course, my favourite fragrance of all time. It is Millesime Imperial. And no, there isn't really much to say, to be honest. Although what I will say is this version of it, this batch of it, this bottle of it, which is a recent batch of it, is actually disappointing. It is somewhat disappointing. It's not the Millesime Imperial that I fell in love with. It has changed. And this is a very, very controversial thing that I'm about to say. If you don't want Millesime Imperial, or you don't want to pay for Millesime Imperial, I would say that Club de Nuit Milestone is a suitable replacement, because that sort of smells more like Millesime Imperial at the moment. I'm always going to be loyal to the brand. I'm always going to be loyal to this fragrance, and I always do believe in paying for the work that the original creator created. However, this isn't the original work anymore. This is sort of this smells more like a clone of Millesime Imperial than Club de Nuit Milestone does. It's a very weird world for Creed at the moment, and especially with being sold. I'm always going to recommend to you the original, but at this point, especially with this formulation, if you do choose to pick up that clone from Amazon for, like, I don't know, 1/5 of the price of this, at this point in the game, I'm going to look the other way, to be completely honest. But yes, Millesime Imperial is my number 1 fragrance. It is my fragrance of all time. And there you go. Thank you for watching. And yeah, let's go to the outro. So thank you for watching this video. I leave you here as I found you last year with a summer top 10 video. Here I am, literally holding a clean sock, by the way. This is not a dirty, stinky sock. But here I am, holding this sock, ending this top 10 summer, and also ending season 5. I'm going to have to go away for a while because a number of projects that I've been putting on hold seriously need my attention. These are film projects, these are potential career projects, and I've tried to hold them off for as long as I possibly can, because you have made me love being the Fragrance Apprentice more than any other time that I have done this. The amount of praise and subscriptions and views that have come, and the lovely kind words, all of the support that you've shown me has been very, very difficult to walk away from at this time, because right now I just love being the Fragrance Apprentice. And I didn't think that it would get to a point where it's become the sort of, well, success that it has in the niche that it is. But I've got to go away, and I've got to do what I want to do, which is, of course, try and become a filmmaker, do TV, do film, and some opportunities have indeed come my way that I would be ridiculous to let go of, and I do feel as though hopefully you would want me to try and do that as well. So I don't know when I'm going to be seeing you next, but hopefully it will be sooner rather than later. But I want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. Thank you to all of you who have supported this endeavour, who have supported the Fragrance Apprentice. This is not goodbye, this is not the Millesime Imperial review, but this is cheerio for now. I'm the Fragrance Apprentice. I'll see you later.